Meanwhile, back in the Bermuda sector...
Hello to Ratchet. Come in.
Is that Captain Qwark?
Clank?
Believe it or not, Clank, he has been of some help to us.
We need to stop Nefarious from reaching the clock. We're on our way to the station now, but you have to find a way to
And the good
stall.
news is that with Clank you can do a lot of cleanup and get a lot of your components and zonies that are scattered throughout the other system. Especially because, again, we are approaching endgame, you know, Nefarious Station is practically the final dungeon, but you will have an occasion for a prayer breather, so it's not as over as you may think. And yeah, as you can see, my lasers on the ship have turned into actual proper beams instead of actually bullets.
Me oh my, those crystals make the universe look like it has a virus.
Of course. There you go. Well, by collecting enough Zoni, I managed to have that maneuver in order to access the fair space station.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah, we do need to cover the new Pokemon Snap game too at some point.
Alright, if you remember, it's Qwark that actually allowed us to actually get here, so that's who we need to meet first. But if I recall correctly, I think I'm gonna get a new weapon soon enough because, you know, new rule of new planet and all.
See, that's how you actually know that they plan this to be the final game. Qwark's is most helpful here.
Still no available 2G4U armor.
I feel like at some point they made those ones specifically goofy to take the piss out of the era of games where we had to go edgy.
So you would think that it's similar to one of the early games where it just creates a black hole that it gets a gigantic. No, this is different. It opens a single one which has Cthulhu just to devour your enemies. It's cool, but it will be is very situational because it has to stay in one location to actually work.
What? Watch. You could say it will rift apart your enemies.
It also has kind of the shape a bit of either the cricket from Men in Black or the ultimate nullifier from the Fantastic Four. Pretty cute. Again, sci-fi B movie. Funny, I actually never, don't think yeah, there you go, that's how it works. That's adorable. I don't think I actually ever read the original graphic novel that was inspirational for the Men in Black movies. I know that it wasn't, you know, comedic in nature. That was a decision done by Barry Sonnenfeld, you know, in order to make the movie more appealing. More water. Again, I kind of like that, yeah, in this case the water serves to cool off more, you know, hot surfaces. I kind of like how the Omni Soaker is one of those gadgets that you actually need to have a use pretty much up until the end of the game, instead of actually being, you know, specifically situational. You may notice that there aren't as many gadgets as before, but, you know, to compensate that, you actually do get to have, you know, enough puzzles with enough variety for, you know, to you to take advantage of them, which I appreciate.
Careful with those X's, you might end up in the X Quadrant Galaxy.
Don't worry, Jobba, this is not Sonic Unleashed where, you know, jumping on it correctly produces a doorbell sound.
When did the score for Dracula 3D game?
They remind me which specific movie is that, because I'm familiar instead with...
Is that Dario Argento one?
Right. I don't
Argento, where have I heard that name before?
He made a lot of the famous horror movies like Suspiria, The Cat on Nine Tails, and so on. Fuck. Well, shite.
Well, Clank, I guess we're going where no one really has gone before.
Well, I think they've all gone to death before, so he's joining them.
No. Remember, Dribs, it wasn't so much the typical death, it's more so forced migration.
Yeah, they just...
Ah, like in that Sonic comic where to write out the echidnas because of the copyright issues, they made up some guy and had him trick the echidnas into going through a portal.
Wow.
To another dimension.
Okay, to be...
I hope TJ Pixman was not taking notes from that.
Okay. To be fair, that technically came before the whole Ken Penders thing, but yeah, basically the idea with Sonic Chronicles is, aside from Knuckles' tribe, which got wiped out by Perfect Chaos, there was another tribe of echidnas. However, these ones were actually crueler and even more sadistic. The thing is, though, they were sealed away in a different dimension, basically, and hence the Dark Brotherhood, which, you know, sees us having to face off with them coming there. So,
apparently they're the ones who created the Gizoids, I guess. I remember John used to say that in his review, and I found that very weird.
Okay, Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood was very ambitious in how it tied together practically every single bit of past lore from Sonic, like you going through Green Hill, some of these other zones here and there, referencing pretty much every detail and tying it together, mentioning stuff like the Gizoid, tying together in what happened with the Black Arms and Shadow the Hedgehog and whatnot. So yes, what BioWare at the time were doing was pretty ambitious, adding in that whole new deck of lore. Now, I don't know if that was something that Sega themselves were planning. What we do know is that, sadly, in the wake of the Ken Penders lawsuit, at the time, Sega just figured, look, it's not worth dealing with this man and his BS, just write off any of the other echidnas and whatnot. Which is why also stuff like Knuckles' family and wife got rodent out of Archie comics and whatnot, and, well, you know where it pretty much goes from there. Nowadays, it seems like they're getting bolder with this stuff, since, let's be honest, Ken Penders can scream and cry till the chickens come home, essentially, but I don't think they even really wanted to go back to Archie, since, admittedly, and this was more so Archie's fault themselves, Archie kind of did a crap job in maintaining licensing and whatnot. Like, unfortunately, Archie not keeping a tighter lid on that was the reason Penders was even able to host that lawsuit in the first place.
Not to mention, as far as I understand, you know, when BioWare finished Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, they were in the process of being fully acquired by EA, so they probably had no intention to make a sequel, and yet they ended the game with a cliffhanger. Complete with Sonic and Tails breaking the fourth wall and saying, yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Like, it's gotten to a point where some people are headcanoning that Sonic Frontiers is the unofficial sequel to that, since, hey, that deals with Eggman having taken over the world, but yeah, no, seriously.
Hey, look who it is! Welcome back, little guy. Am I glad you're here? You know who was a terrible sidekick. Some people just don't take online at work seriously.
Hey, I'm not the one sitting on the sidelines while everyone else marches into certain death.
Sit on the sidelines and let this baby go to waste? It's one of those cool smoke bombs the spies use. You know, for making quick and fancy getaways.
Yeah.
No, forget it. Here, it's my most ingenious
foolproof
plan yet.
Oh boy.
The Nefarious Space Station. An impenetrable fortress fraught with danger and, windows.
The horror. Of course.
Wiles, I was able to convince
at least it kind of has improved a bit with the crayons.
The South Wing trash chute. This will be our point of entry. With the motion sensors deactivated, we should have smooth sailing into the South Wing. Harnessing 8 years of high school theater workshops, I will remain undercover as the lovely Shanna. My objective...
Oh, the mission just would not be complete without you and Drag.
That's a vacation picture from the Mactar Resort Single Mingle. Don't know how that got in there. I'll escort you here to a conveniently exposed thermal exhaust port. We will then endure rigorous calisthenics until we have lost enough body fat to
A
squeeze
death
through the
station with a thermal exhaust port being its weak point.
And we had to enter through the trash compactor. Yes, Joe, they know what they're
That
doing.
port leads directly to Nefarious' personal quarters. Using the gigamorphic hull array, you'll be able to scan.
Oh
him
goody,
and
this
point
time
out
we need to
holographic
actually
the
create
skies.
the holo guys ourselves. It's kind of like Mission
With the skies
Impossible when you had to
engaged,
create
we should be
the
able to
rubber
reach past
masks.
the guards and infiltrate mission control, where we'll use the main security terminal to atomize every docked ship in the fleet. With Nefarious trapped like a rat and the clock safe, we can contact galactic authorities so that I may bask in the awesome glow of
Hooray.
their admiration.
All
Just
right, I
you,
have to
and
ask,
you alone.
What's with the nurse's outfit?
Ingenious, isn't it? It's part of an elaborate deception plan. It mostly involves a lot of hip swinging and puppy dog eyes.
Well, white's certainly your
People
color.
must be really distracted by the sexy to not realize that you're wearing green underneath it.
Let's just roll with it.
Here we are.
Okay, here's an interesting one. You can it's kind of more ideas in hindsight. This entire small sequence, it's clearly a prototype for a lot of set pieces in modern Sony games. The camera is fixed. Thankfully, it was actually your movement is not slow to a crawl. You have very limited gameplay. In this case, just defeat a few enemies, and something is going on in the background that will get resolved automatically without your intervention. It's just very cool without having a cutscene. I can imagine at the time this was potentially, groundbreaking to a lot of people. But I have to be honest, much like with a lot of similar set pieces in a lot of modern Sony games, this tells me nothing. I'm just glad that I did not swallow.
No intelligent life found indeed.
It's also funny because me and Dweebs have watched along with Jay Saw 5 recently, and we know exactly what happens if that, traffic fails.
We need to keep moving.
Anyway,
Maintenance sector is crawling with Nefarious' goons. This might call for a little finesse.
alright.
Watch and learn. Hello there. I'm Nurse Shannon. This is Dr. Archibald von
Okay.
Fuckypants and his robotic intern, Gundolf Metallsprocket. Dr. Nefarious is expecting us.
You are not authorized. Prepare to die, Nurse Shannon.
Master of Deception, Qwark.
Well, they do still think he's Nurse Shannon, so I guess part of the disguise worked. I'll be honest, I'd have figured Nefarious would have programmed in facial recognition of 3 of his greatest enemies.
Well, as we will learn, I think not too long from now, apparently it's Lawrence who does all the work, so maybe he could not feed that.
I do wonder if that was a bit of a retcon, because 3 at least seemed to showcase Nefarious still being able to more or less invent all of this stuff.
There was the slight hint of ever of this with one of the Qwark horror comics when he's supposed to escape the Nefarious base. Nefarious doesn't know what should be done best, and it's Lawrence who suggests to fill the room with acid.
I do chalk a bit of that up to just Nefarious being indecisive with stuff, which kind of tends to be a bit of his issue. I don't know, again, I like to believe that Nefarious is somebody who actually can back up all his bluster, even though that bluster does get him into trouble more often than not. That's just for everything that's happened in every past game, Qwark. You deserve it. Although I'll give Qwark credit, at least he's helping by shooting enemies, so...
Yeah, it's possibly one of the more competent moments from him with the blaster.
Again, like I said, you can tell this was meant to be the last game because Qwark's the most helpful he's been.
Still, the arena is large enough for you to actually have mobility to have, fun with shooting Nefarious and goons.
Plenty of villain variety, so plenty of opportunity to use everything you've collected.
As we will be mentioned also in the summary, you also might notice that with the mobility option, Ratchet cannot crouch anymore, again, this was actually useful in previous games to prepare yourself for a side jump. But in here, thanks to also stuff like the rocket boots, is not particularly needed anymore, and Ratchet can still do the somersault, the side somersault on his own. It's not really particularly, missing. But as noted also by the Insomniac employee, the only thing that's missing is actually teabagging the enemies after you defeated them. How unfortunate. I think this is also the point where I kind of stopped using Mr. Zurkon for a while because, like I said, this is kind of the point of the game where his damage becomes a bit obsolete. Yeah, I don't think I talked much about the spiral death. It's fine for the most part. It's interesting when it can go behind cover. And it's basically a straight line, but I never thought it had sufficient enough power, particularly against the bigger enemies. Nothing particularly good also at stunning them, so I find it one of the weaker situational weapons in our arsenal. It's still fun, creative enough, but not the one that I will use immediately. I'm also about to level up, have the final level up for the buzzing blades.
Very nice.
Hello. There you go. Yeah, I don't have time for that. Yeah, the good news about the electric shock trap weapon is that it has slightly home properties, meaning that, if you actually are in the same room as the enemies, it will actually generally reach it. And you can tell this is almost endgame territory because now the game is really showering you with more enemies. I mean, granted, it's also because this is properly the enemy stronghold, so you would expect that to happen, but still. It's interesting how Nefarious seems to respect a lot of the villain overlord release, believe it or not. Not completely, because of course you're still fooled by Qwark in a drag, so yeah.
I feel like Nefarious is somebody who would study the evil overlord list, but he would scoff at some of the rules, deeming that, oh, that would never happen to him, only
And
to then
in
follow
other
into
cases, like I said, it's probably Lawrence who will actually, bother to pay attention to that.
Yeah. I was looking ahead on the Wikipedia articles, and the series would end up having a bit of a difficult time keeping the same composer. Like the next two games have the same one, Michael Bross, and by next two I mean Into the Nexus and the 2016 game.
Well, remember
I'm guessing
the
part of
next
that-
two games are All for One and Full Frontal Assault /2 Horse.
I do sense a bit of that, probably coming from the whiplash of them realizing that this wasn't going to be the last game.
Also, the next two ones are not as
Oh, Michael
bigger.
Bross is in that one too, so...
The next two ones are not as big in scope as these. They're still definitely an adventure that they're having, but they're more closer to, say, the second game in terms of, just an episode of the week kind of thing.
Yeah, here's my take on the situation. Regardless of how this game feels, they plan for this to be the last one, but then either them deciding they still had some more left in them, or Sony mandating that more games came out, they couldn't really think of what to do major arc plot-wise, so they said, well, let's just basically do episodes of the week, essentially.
Into the Nexus definitely has a big, the same level of this in terms of, you know, how big in scope it can be, but it has the disadvantage of being a relatively short experience, so you have to deal with that.
I will say again, due to the overall tone of the series, if you didn't tell me, I would not guess that this was meant to be the last game in the series, granted.
Alright, here we
Granted.
go.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Things to do once the clock is under my control. Number 1, double-cross remaining Valkyries and retire Lord Vorsalon. Number 2, re-establish vendetta against organic life forms. And number 3, iron socks.
But you don't wear socks.
Just lower with it. There we go. Hi. There it is.
No.
Oh.
Forgot to tune the auto scaler. Ah, well, close enough. Try your vocal modulator.
Test.
Translation: the game devs didn't want to actually make a playable Nefarious model.
Go home.
Honestly, I think it's worth the joke. So, as Nefarious, compared to previous you know, games, you get to do a couple of things with the auto guys. For example, talk to Lawrence.
I'm afraid not, sir. All
By the way, sir, you seem to have shrunk.
successful. Perhaps she thought about marrying you and decided to make a run for it. The search for Ratchet has our armada stretched thin, but we do have a small fleet on the outer perimeter. They should arrive just as soon as they've completed their patrols, sir.
That said, part of me wonders if Lawrence sees through the disguise, but he's just rolling with it for the fun of it.
Again, the entire joke is that he's just doing this as the job, just for the paycheck, you know. He's actually gonna, you know, say something like that during our next interactions. And again, when it comes to Rift Apart, he's on paternity leave, so...
100% on that one, but I'm sure you'll think of something. Just remember, keep it
Again, I just want to, you know... Again, I understand Michael Bell retiring and everything, but at this point I just want the character to be recast. You know, that's the thing. You have Adam Crossdale, he can do a perfectly British butler impersonation. Just use him.
Get out of my way!
Greetings, Doctor Nefarious.
Annihilate him!
I am no traitor.
So yeah, you can be cruel to minions or even punish them so just they can get a room. Again, this sequence is actually very reminiscent of point-and-click puzzle games, where you need to actually have to decide the correct action with a limited, you know, arsenal at your disposal. Oh great, Pollux.
Hypernova defense laser is quite capable of clearing the debris. Say, would you like to test it out? The controls are yours, sir.
Alright, let's do some shooting.
Only a few asteroids remain, sir. Would you like to do the rounds?
There you go, you can destroy the asteroid, for example. Or that. I'm sure it will be...
That's part of our own
Sir,
bit,
sir, you destroyed our turrets.
I mean, to be fair, that
It
would
is
be
a-
something that Nefarious will do.
Platform is clear.
and then he would somehow try to pull it off as something that was all part of his stratagem.
But that's not really enough. Remember, we need to destroy the Armada. So let's have, if I recall correctly, let's have Loris, you know, call it.
Yes, sir, you rang. I really am quite busy, sir. What do you need? I'm conducting an omniscan of the Orvis chamber, sir. I must say, the machinery here is quite advanced compared to the malfunctioning bucket of bolts I'm accustomed to dealing with.
Ouch.
Oh, I get to press a button, and they said my intellect would be squandered under your employ. Stand by for fleet.
I do like how this implies that he is at least, I guess, not super forced by robotics to do Nefarious' bidding. It's all just in the job. Which is weird, because I always considered that was implied that he created Lawrence.
Well, it's never stated, so I'm fine with that. Yeah, basically you need to tell Pollux to get the fuck out in order to actually maneuver the Hypernova defense laser against the fleet.
It was a good job. Is it just think that yeah, Ratchet disguised as Nefarious doesn't just say, "Alright, then we're retiring. Press the
Here we go."
self-destruct button."
Oh, it's a thing of beauty.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't far off, was I?
Well, that was our plan.
I feel very close to you right now.
Come on, we gotta keep moving.
Why the shimming?
How's that for some Nefarious and Qwark shipping there?
Friend, enemies to lovers, indeed. Reminder that
Wait, I'm your master!
Reminder that Qwark used to bully the shit out of Nefarious in school. Yeah.
And Qwark's still the good guy because...
Well, that's what Full Frontal Assault, believe it or not, is for, but that will actually be the game that kind of sort of questions why Qwark keeps getting the glory and pardons despite everything. Besides, okay, I don't remember if it happened in between games or actually is done in Full Frontal Assault, but eventually he stops being active president, so yeah. Anyway, evolution of the Groovytron globe enters into the Groovy Bomb globe, more powerful and with a bigger effect.
Like, now, to Qwark's credit, he didn't force Nefarious to be a villain, essentially. Nefarious chose that, and for all we know, maybe Nefarious was always planning to be evil.
Well,
it's like those weird, stories where somebody gets bullied a lot turns into someone who wants to destroy all humanity or something.
Mind you, I say that, but then the 2016 reimagining reboot thingamajig did what it did, and boy was that a choice.
Also, let's evolve the blades into the Doom property, the Doom blades.
Congrats, Ratchet. Now you're ready to hunt down space demons.
Clearly. Again, remember, it's a testament that Sonic is definitely a fan of id Software by virtue of having also stuff like the Doom-esque sequence in Spyro 3, in Fireworks Factory.
And how the Rhino is pretty much the equivalent to the BFG.
Basically. Alright, almost out. Jesus, that was point blank shotguns. How spongy are these enemies? Alright, let's see if after the DVC score can get out.
We need to access the elevator. You know, oftentimes when I say this, it results in catastrophe, but what the hey? Mission accomplished.
You just had to say it, Qwark.
You're not Doctor Nefarious.
Piece of shit.
Nefarious, you can't use the clock.
Alright, check this out. We're about to hear his motivation.
Oh, but there is. And I have you three to thank for it. Initiate Super Wavy Flashback Effect!
Okay. So, what happened after Episode 3?
You and your dim-witted friend here, I found myself drifting through the cosmos. Have you ever spent time?
I like that they kept the deal about Lawrence's base.
Just without the Beatles costume.
Yeah, they forgot the wig, sadly.
Nothing for a villain to do but dwell on his failure.
So yeah, unfortunately, as we know, they eventually did find a planet. And because it was inhabited by the Fungoids, yeah, they did not know that Nefarious was a bad guy. Oh god. Also, if you noticed on the left, the PlayStation symbols.
I embarked on a crusade to the inner recesses of what you call the soul. I studied fungoid meditation, attended anger management class, dabbled in yoga, attended more anger management class, until finally I went on a spirit walk on planet Quantos. It was
You
here
found enlightenment.
I found
Yes,
what I
sir.
had been missing. The great clock!
Just not the one where the fungoids fought.
Clock under my control.
Alright, here's the
Oopsie.
motivation.
All the rights in the universe. Every villain who has ever stumbled will get a do-over.
I would like to remind you, this was released 1 year before Sonic Generations.
A new present is created. In
How
which
about
the
that?
There are coincidences in there, then vendors just get the fuck out.
Okay, I'll give it Generations credit. That was legit an anniversary title, so it at least had the
God
go-ahead for
damn it,
that sort of...
5 bolts wasted.
How did
Well, you get
my
what you pay for.
Finger 5000? I had it
How
installed in the
specific?
event I ever needed a super ironic death scenario.
Nefarious.
Of
you're
course.
Making a mistake.
Time will tell. Bon voyage, my old nemesis.
You're just a lonely man, Lance. Boarding a lonely train.
There we go.
A lonely town.
So help me, it's true. All aboard from
Wanna do something?
Janice.
Yeah, there you go, thank you. And Ratchet and Clank died.
I love how
Well, that was the
Nefarious...
end of Back in Time, Final Thoughts.
You gotta love how Nefarious was in such a good mood. He wasn't even mad that we blew up
He
his
was
own fleet.
overexcited, I guess that's the interpretation. Still, we'll need to find out where Ratchet and Clank ended up, so tune in for the next part to find out. See ya.
You done.